for more on this story, we can bring in Oluwole Ojewale, Coordinator of West and Central Africa at the Institute of Security Studies. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24. I wanted to start off by asking you, to what extent is Nigeria cooperating with the US in the fight against jihadist groups?
Thank you so much for having me. I think events of the last few days have shown that Nigeria has cast a new relationship in terms of security cooperation with the US by some two major events that I think have taken place. One is the fact that after President Trump made that global statement about the terrorist persecution of Christians in Nigeria and the fallout of the bilateral relationship, the Office of the National Security Advisor of Nigeria traveled to the U.S., had some briefings with the Department of War, the Secretary, and engaged even the congressmen. And at the same time, members of Congress have traveled to Nigeria and took what I would consider like an on-the-spot assessment in terms of what they consider to be the state of insecurity in the country. An official statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria shows that the last strike that was carried out in the last 24 hours in Sokoto State in northwestern part of Nigeria was a collaborative effort, at least as stated by the official statement from the government, from the authorities in Nigeria. So I think to a reasonable extent, there is a serious commitment to security cooperation between Nigeria and the United States of America now.
And do you think this is all down to that pressure from Donald Trump? And do you agree with his assessment that the Nigerian government isn't doing enough to protect its citizens from jihadist groups?
Yes, I wouldn't say Nigeria government is probably not doing enough, but the truth of the matter is that the data available shows that there have been a rise on the attack by various criminal groups in the country. And it's an accumulative effect of what has been going on for years in terms of limited presence of the state in areas where these activities, criminal activities are taking place. So by the data, even without Donald Trump, it goes to, I mean, there is a substantial evidence that shows that attacks have been on the increase in the past 5 to 6 years now. I think where there is a bit of a disagreement between both parties is the framing of the nature of the insecurity in the country. While President Trump is fixated on the binary framing of the security challenges as attacks targeting Christians, I think at the domestic front, that has a serious political fallout. And it's the reason why I think the authorities are trying to push back to frame it in such a way that the whole world will know that the terrorist attacks that are going on in Nigeria are not selective in terms of who they choose to be their target. Less than 48 hours ago, there was an attack in northeastern part of Nigeria where reportedly about 5 persons died and about 35 persons were also hospitalized. So these are the divergences in terms of the framing of insecurity in the country. But I think strip of the religious and sectarian elements, people of different faith and ethnic groups are actually affected by insecurity in the country.
So are we seeing then a change in US strategy or, deeper involvement of the US in Africa or Nigeria in particular?
Yes, I think for many reasons. Nigeria is about a major country in the region that no international partner will want to push aside, consider the sheer population, the market size, and even the possibility of cooperating on security issues, particularly the West African region. And the fact that recent events that are happening in the West African sub-region shows the role that Nigeria can play, as we have seen in the recent time in the Sahel and even in Benin. and why it is very, very important for international partners, for countries and states to actually forge such partnership with Nigeria. I think where there is the issue is the geopolitical framing of what is going on and what is the American interest in all this. Is it about religion, or there are other east-west convergence of issues in terms of who Nigeria chooses to be partnering with, what America considers to be its own priority in the region. But I think America see Nigeria as a country that should be a major partner in security and trade and other areas. It is just that the approach in the recent time that I think is creating a serious backlash.
And this all, as experts say, the epicenter of jihadism has kind of shifted from the Middle East to the central Sahel region. How have these groups managed to gain such a strong foothold here?
Yes, I think in the enlightened interest of Nigeria as a state, it should be interested in what happens in the Sahel, because those issues are fast percolating in the littoral state of West Africa. And Nigeria has become a major recipient of such fallout in the recent time. The breakdown of security cooperation between Nigeria and Niger as a result of the failed promised military intervention when the military, during the military incursion into polities in Niger in 2023, has affected the multinational joint task force that Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad put together to provide cross-border collaboration between those partners, and that has affected the rate at which arms trafficking, border porosity has accentuated the state of conflict in Nigeria now, coupled with the fact that Nigeria also is battling with its own internal security challenges. I think this has created a conflagration that Nigeria is struggling to really address now. And generally, yes, there are a significant number of foreign fighters. I think one report put it at about over 5,000 foreign fighters that have returned from Middle East, Syria, and other conflict theaters into the Sahel region. And events that is unfolding in the Sahel clearly shows that this is now a major security threat that has also expanded the fault lines of insecurity in the region. Benin, Togo, Ghana, northern corridors of those countries have come under severe attack now. And to the extent to which there's a failure of defense and security in those countries, is also percolating into Nigeria. JINIM, a terrorist group that has gained foothold in the Sahel for a long while now, executed their first lone attack in north-central part of Nigeria a few months ago. I think these are part of the expansionist agenda of the jihadist group, who also, I believe strongly, have Nigeria on their front line in terms of targeting. And it goes to show the reason why the Nigeria government needs to look for all form of security partnership and cooperation to address the expansionist threats of jihadist group, homegrown in Nigeria, and those ones that are spreading from Central Sahel into Nigeria and other littoral states of West Africa.
Indeed, Oluwole Ojewale from the Institute for Security Studies. Thank you very much for your analysis there.